Anything for this
Correct.
morning? With Microsoft Teams getting best experience with this collaboration platform. So good morning to Miss Chester Coronel, and I'm here to talk about automation. Are you excited? So I hope everyone is, because this is a very important topic. As we go and reimagine the path forward from this pandemic, my belief is that we are not just talking about transforming business processes, but it is all about transforming the way we think about work. When we talk about automation, I hope it's not just about it's not just about transforming from paper to another medium, which is forms, but there's a lot of things that we can do when it comes to automation. That's what I'm going to talk about this morning. So one of the things that I wanted to point out here is that since that time in March 2020, I remember that March 2020, I think that was the day when we all entered the lockdown, our very first lockdown. And from that point on, the way we work has transformed, has changed forever and ever. So in what way? So Microsoft likes to emerge from this pandemic, this situation. We think about a three-phase process. So what we encountered in 2020 is all about responding to the situation, lockdowns, responding to the pandemic that's going on, responding. So that was our first priority. I understand that everyone was crammed, staying at home, and everyone, you adopted Microsoft Teams. I know that there's a lot of customers who adopted Microsoft 365 overnight. So that was the phase that we are on. Then a few months down the line, we entered into this recovery phase. So as shutdowns, lockdowns get less and less common, we were now planning for the comeback. So we had our different phases of quarantine. We slowly have returning to work or returning, but we are still recovering from the situation. We're still reimagining what would that normal look like. And now I hope that a lot of you would be in a newer phase. And that is what we call the reimagine phase. How do we move forward? What does the And I think what is very important here, and I wanted, it is all about this phase, as I would like to think about, it's all about investing for agility, it's investing for competitive advantage, and investing on employee well-being. So I wanted to remember and highlight investing for agility, investing for competitive advantage, because that is the very important part right now. I don't think this is the first one. I think at some point we will always have some sort of disruptions that may be similar to this. And I think it's up to us to be more resilient, to be to be agile, to better respond in these kinds of situations, and with that build your competitive advantage. So how do we go about that? How do we go first think about is, I think, as I had many conversations with customers across my 11 years, it's always been has always been top of mind. When customers that come into mind is, how do we now create workflows? How do we now make sure that I transform this business process. However, in that thinking, one very fundamental concept is often forgotten about, and that is thinking about your own situation, as I would call it. When you think about your own situation, I want you to think about very quick think about your day and spent on very regular basis that or do you prepare, do you have a routine, do you have certain routine tasks that you do every single day or every week, um, and think about how much time does that eat up in your day. Also think about times that you don't have these routine tasks, times that are dedicated for us to be able to be creative and be able to, think about solutions, think about strategy. More often than not, as I had many conversations with customers over the years, a lot of there's a significant time that is dedicated on routine and manual tasks, preparing reports, uh, sending certain stuff via email that can be automated. One of the first things that I wanted to point out is that we are all human. What we excel is on creative and strategic thinking. However, what happens in at work, what happens in that 8 hours is that a lot of the time has been dedicated to manual tasks. So the being building your competitive advantage, thinking about this is a product of creative and strategic thinking. I don't think that that would be. I don't think that thinking about new business models will come out of come out of performing manual tasks. Even at different levels in your businesses, I believe that reducing the time that's dedicated on manual tasks will allow everyone in the organization to think about different creative solutions that would benefit the business. What we are finding out is that businesses are hungry for change. Again, building on that point earlier, we believe that our potential is very much limitless, but we work well, I hope everyone works 8 hours a day, but I know some of you work more. There are actually challenges. There's a shift to remote work. So with remote work, there's a consequence. There's a lot of disparate systems, lesser standardization, um, and there's a greater need for information sharing. Again, if you are in an office, information sharing can be done face to face. But as you may have noticed during the time that we are all, it has to be very, very deliberate. With this situation that we have for us, that we had chain issues that we are having. So people expect this time there are definitely capacity, not only capacity on work but also and with a lot of work that is being done, also is a time is an time is something that is very, very much limited. And of course, with the changing landscape when it comes to the situation, so because of the situation, then there are certain industries that would require greater urgency, particularly in the healthcare field. There are greater expectations, and there are potentially decreased satisfaction because there's a lot of impairments. There's a lot of change. So, as you may ask, um, one of the things that you will have to think about, again, initially we were thinking about how do we now how do we now make sure that everyone gets their gets work done. We are already past that. But the business, when it comes to building that competitive advantage, when it comes to a lot of things in this reimagine phase, I believe that automation is the key to digitally transform the way we work. So what the point that we're making here is that we have to boost we will have to boost productivity, make sure that people have their time to think strategy, think of new solutions, new business models, and for a lot of this mandated. So that's how we will be reimagining automation. When you hear about the word people who can actually do automation, so thinking about people who are skilled in certain language, people who are skilled in certain technologies. Unfortunately, unfortunately, the traditional automation will not keep up with the business demand. Again, we are in a period of transformation. We are still in that period of advantage and resilience. So with this one, again, a lot of businesses are turning into digital. Definitely, so very very high demand. Um, we recognize that develop it has to be done, and in order for you to keep up, there has to be a better way to approach building new applications in your business. So again, it's all about higher demands coming from you and not having enough developers. How do we go about that? So one of the things that I am really passionate about, people to be able to do lightweight automation. What I usually tell my customers is that this is the perfect opportunity to bring automation, to democratize automation, so that it can be one of the things that I believe, what I believe in, that I tell my customers is that people in the business, people that run your business, are closest to the problems, the opportunity in your business. If we were able to empower them to create some sort of automation, automate it themselves, then we give them that opportunity to help transform the business and solve the problems that they care deeply about. Way of creating a making sure that the IT scope it, which they compete for resources, and then taking some time to build those. If we are able to empower the modern worker, your information workers, your people at the business, your people at the front lines, then that would greatly benefit your business. So at Microsoft, we believe that the future of automation is all about single, a single, scalable, and low-code platform. So when we talk about low-code automation, what comes into your mind may be building workflows, making sure that when you upload a document, when you upload the document to SharePoint, for example, that there are some processes that's happening throughout that approval, for approval, and so on. In this context, there's we have artificial intelligence, harnessing artificial intelligence to be able to do a lot of processes in your organization. We have digital process automation. We have business process automation, task process mining, and so on. And at Microsoft, we are all of this are available on a single platform. So there's also a single automation path. So user experiences with apps and portals, you can think about how chatbots will transform people, the way we work internally. You can think about you may want to do a API based automation improvement, Six Sigma, or you may want to streamline that and so on. So this is a single automated automation path, and it is actually designed for all. It's not just restricted to IT, but a lot of users, when we democratize it, can participate in this. And the benefit of that is that it can be an accelerator for your business earlier. Remember the point I made earlier on making sure that that people empowering people at their at the business, giving them the tools to automate and solve their business challenges. It's an accelerator for your business. Number one, it can boost your productivity. So again, if we reduce manual tasks, let's say by 50%, that's 50% time, more time that can be dedicated to it can be dedicated to more strategic work. If we centralize that on one platform, if we centralize that if we centralize all a single platform like Microsoft Teams where people work, then they need. So there's also a need for you to be systems across your organization. Legacy systems will always be there. I have been in this industry. A lot of my customers still has those legacy systems that we started with and modernize them so that you cannot accelerate your digital transformation having interfaces that your customers there's also a need for you to apply intelligent automation. So that to increase times with the power of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is not all about just making decisions. We've seen certain scenarios to count inventory just by using computer vision. So of course, with all need for us to integrate that more, security is what we do best. Security is what we have of our platform. So we have to do so more securely, and automation has to be. So our for coders and non-coders when it comes to bringing this. So again, these and when I run these kinds of hackathons, you will be surprised at the they are building. So just recently I was judging a hackathon of a real estate company in the Philippines. So one of the what their business users have come up is amazing. It's really solving everyday processes. They were able to quantify how much time savings, how much cost they will be saving just by adopting a very, very simple automation. They were able to quantify how much time it will they pursue that kind of. So this platform of coding everything, pro developers can leverage this so that they can actually automate a lot of tasks, a lot of requirements with it. Sorry, they can turn around a lot of the requirements much faster. And of course, IT and admin usually before IT and administrators they veer away from development. But since this is a very easy platform, they can actually be able to perform in this new way. So it's all about taking care of what is important, taking care of your business, thinking strategically and automate. So you might be wondering, scenarios are we addressing? Key industries where we can act representative of the audience today. So there's a lot of things that we can do across financial services where I have a lot of customers. So most commonly, it's all about serve our customers. So for example, being able to automate and organize those loan approval processes. So if there's a loan committee that decides which loans are to be approved or not, automate that data, we can put in artificial intelligence, machine learning to ensure that we can potentially check for fraudulent documents. We can potentially flag high risk transactions. So you can use artificial intelligence, machine learning for that. Uh, when it comes to client management, this is again what I'm really passionate about. You will be surprised how some financial services are still very, very manual to this day. So just imagine if you can automate, for example, credit checks, being able to integrate platforms so that you can actually do video conferencing. That's a win. You don't have, if you were able to and be able to process those transactions from those virtual visits, then that's a win. That's a win. You do not have your customers on site for certain transactions that are allowed to be done remotely. When it comes to operations, being able to track your expenses, be able to process vendor invoices, be able to intelligently manage your expenses. That is a win when it comes to your business. When we think about manufacturing, it's all about managing the entire value chain. Uh, being able to think about inventory management. When do I reorder? What's my forecast? Uh, how many of this product should I do in a certain period? Those tasks and data points can be automated. When we think about processes inside the manufacturing outfit, it's all about labor management. Be able to standardize the manufacturing processes as much as possible. If there are documents that need to be presented that's digitized, if there's an opportunity to automate some of them so that you can reduce human-driven production errors, again, reducing those errors, you can do that to the automation. You can have dashboards to monitor capacity utilization so that you can make strategic decisions about about expanding or modifying modifying those so that you can decide more about on capacity issues that you may be handling, being able to optimize your output. In retail, are on retail, again, all about that being able to track, quite popular. Um, what are the trends that are happening in your organization? Applying your frontline workers, people on the store with the necessary tools to improve customer service. So for example, being able actually um, can actually able to see if a certain item is not available, being able to tag that so that when the customer comes into your other branch, they can get the item that they wanted. So these are just some of the things that we can transform. If there are some of you who are into healthcare, if there are some of you who are into healthcare, there's a lot of opportunities for automation in this area. So what I'm trying to say is that automation really drives business transformation. So when you reduce development costs, which is what is happens, and when you reduce development cost, there is an opportunity for you to reduce development costs and increase overall efficiency. So what we did a study with Forrester that a lot of customers have 199% return on investment over 3 years. Um, this does transform into savings. So instead of having overtimes, instead of dedicating a lot of work into manual tasks, then you can save time, you can save money on that. So in the study, it's worth $1.41 million. And most importantly, automation is also about reducing errors. So we can see that people have 27.4 increased automation. Just imagine how that translates to customer experience and better business outcomes for your organization. So again, we want to empower people. So how does it do it in our platform? So Microsoft Power Platform is our no code, low code, and code first. If you're a professional developer, of a lot of components, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, and Power BI. So it's everyone's platform for transformation. I think one of the key tenets here is one of the value propositions is really on low and no code. So one of my favorite things here is that, for example, in Power Apps, you're able to create applications. Anyone can create applications. I would always refer to it as it would be like PowerPoint and Microsoft Excel combined together. So it's all about dragging controls, putting in formulas to make those controls function. So Power Automate is our automation platform. So where you can automate anything from workflows to robot process automations. All of that is available in Power Automate. We have Power Virtual Agents without writing a single line of code. You can actually build chatbots, and it's quite a popular workload for my customers when they try to transform the way they do when they interact with their employees from an HR and IT perspective. And of course, we can feed all of this into Power BI, be able to analyze the data, be able to get the metrics that you needed. All of this are connected into AI Builder, where you can actually build AI models. Our database, Dataverse, which is the native database for the Power Platform, which allows you to create storage for your data. We have hundreds of connectors that allow you to connect to different kinds of systems and so on. So when we say that when we focus on automation, that automation is not an island. Much extensible, you can connect it to different platforms and to different cloud or on-prem data sources. So what are different kinds to automate? So we see it as a four-step process, or we see that in four different ways. So these are features of the full-fledged Power Automate suite. So when we wanted to discover automation and discover opportunities for automation or discover opportunities for improvement, we have capabilities on Process Advisor, and process on task mining. When we want to build automation, we can do cloud flows, which is the traditional workflow that you may be familiar with. We have desktop flows, which you may be familiar as robot process automation. And we have business process flows, which is wherein people who are in charge of certain business processes can be guided through. We can enhance this automation that we have built using different capabilities. So if you wanted to leverage on AI models to do credit scoring, to be able to count inventory, then we have AI builder for that. When we wanted to do intelligent chatbots that serve information that answers everyone's questions, then we have Power Virtual Agents for that. We can extend the automation to those kinds of platforms. Then, of course, security and governance is always top of mind. So we do have capabilities to ensure that whatever data that you automate, whatever data that you process remains secure, and there's governance that surrounds it. So just wanted to walk you through some of this. So again, this is Process Advisor. Process Advisor allows you to um, so there are two components. We have process mining and task mining. So Process Advisor allows you to visualize your processes and for you to take action. So as you can see, you can actually see the process here. You can actually see um, certain metrics about your processes, average, median case duration, and potentially see bottlenecks into your bottlenecks and inefficiencies in your processes. So again, you can actually see here, for example, capacity utilizations and where bottlenecks are. So this is also where you can actually collect insights on your different processes so that you can automate it. So streamlining your processes is all about identifying your bottlenecks and getting insights so that you can know what you can optimize. Of course, building workflows is something that we are very familiar with. You're very familiar with cloud flows. But there are also two other components: robotic process automation, which is Power Automate for desktop, and we have business process automation through business process flows. With robotic process automation, what we automate is what is usually done by humans, by your employees on the desktop. So you can actually create software that takes in that interacts with the user interface with Windows on the desktop. So even if you don't have an API, you can tell robot process automation to be able to automate, for example, copying of cells in Excel. I've seen this in action. Copying cells from Excel, generating files, printing it, effectively replicating human behaviors or manual tasks that are being done by humans. If you have modern systems with API, then this can actually bridge these two sides. So right now, when you do robot process automation, Power Automate, so you can actually automate any desktop-based task with access to 400 actions and more. So this is an example of the designer. You can drag and drop the actions. You can record actions so that you can author and replicate actions that is done routinely in your organization. So there are also tools for you to be able to troubleshoot and debug so that you make sure that not only automate it, but you make sure that it's a seamless automation that you can do. So more of robot process automation. So again, it's all about having also the flexibility to run your automation. So when it comes to digital process automation, this is cloud flows on Power Automate. So when we talk about cloud flows, there's a lot of things that we can do. What we can do here is that we can enable everyone to build powerful automation. So things like, for example, being able to do something when you receive an email. So that is a very powerful automation. Taking action when there are things that are being done. There are templates that are available so that you can build those simple automation templates that will save you a lot of time. So you also then have business process automation, where you can actually automate multi-step guided process the way you want it. So as an example, this is how you design. For example, if you're working on lead to opportunity, that you're working on a sales process, let's say lead to opportunity, you can create a process that will guide your users through, and that will guide your users through different steps. So when we say enhance automation, again, once we've done, we can take that further. We can leverage on AI and conversational AI. Just imagine leveraging AI Builder to automatically process different forms in your organization. Let's say invoices. So being able to capture certain details from your invoice and route them for approval. Just think about being able to reimagine the way people interact with applications inside your organization. Let's say being able to answer the frequently asked questions and to perform tasks from a chatbot. So you can actually have build chatbots that rely on natural language and is being used by users to solve their issues and be able to get answers quickly and perform tasks in your organization. Of course, this is very much secure. It's integrated with the entire suite of compliance, identity management. Um, so everything is integrated. So it's built on a cloud platform that is very much secure and protected, um, protected in the Microsoft Cloud. So you do not have to worry about it. You can also enforce data loss, prevention policies so that you can block certain connectors that may risk certain data from being exfiltrated by your users. It's a platform that citizen developers can leverage, but at the same time you can secure it in such a way that data that needs to be within your organization can remain within your organization. So this is how automation can help you. This is how you can take care of the path moving forward for your business. It's all about automating the rest of the manual processes and giving time back for more strategic and creative thinking from your employees. So again, these are just some benefits. Being able to boost everyone's productivity, it's very important, particularly at this time. Being able to automate at scale, applying intelligence into your automation and integrating automation very securely, which is very important. All of this can be achieved in a low or no code platform, essentially democratizing it, allowing people closest to your business challenges and opportunities to do any automation that is required of them. With this, maraming salamat for having me today. I hope that you've learned a lot from this session on automation. Um, Again, maraming salamat and have a wonderful day.